Part 133. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Dalby in the World. Chapter 1321. Chapter 1321 Secret Weapon 1. Woman, you cry ugly, a childish voice sounded from behind her. Tianyuman quickly turned around and saw a young and immature face appearing in front of her. The little face was serious and her eyes were filled with resentment. Little Mickey, why are you here? Tianyuman ran to her son happily, held her son in her arms, and rubbed his face gently, forgetting that the tears were still on her face, and she cried. Tears were wiped on her young face. Oh, it's so dirty. Little Mickey said something disgusting, but he thoughtfully wiped the tears on Tianyuman's face. You are so grown up, yet you still cry. Are you ashamed? Don't be shy, Mommy is happy to see little Mickey. Tianyuman had a bright smile on her face, but her beautiful eyes still shed tears uncontrollably, blurring her vision. It's so strange, Mommy's eyes are dripping all the time. Tianyuman pouted her cherry lips and wiped the tears on her face, but she couldn't wipe them away. Mommy, cry if you want, Mickey won't laugh at you. Little Mickey opened his little hands and hugged Mommy into his arms. Little Mickey, you haven't told Mommy yet, how did you come here? You wouldn't come to Mommy by plane, would you? Tianyuman's little mouth opened wide. This is too incredible. Her son is so defiant that he went out alone a few months ago, and now it has refreshed her worldview. He is not even 3 years old yet, and he will come to see her alone across the country? And he appeared in front of her exactly when she was sad and sad. Could it be that there is an adult soul living in her son's body? Tianyuman accidentally opened her mind and shook her son's little body in shock. Oops, I'm so shaken to death, Uncle Wang brought me here. Little Mickey shouted in a daze. Uncle Wang? God bless. Tianyuman picked up her son and ran quickly to Wang's house where the lights were on. She didn't notice it just now, but now she noticed that Wang's house had the lights on and the door open. Tianyuman walked into Wang's house with her son in her arms, and she saw Wang Tianyu sitting on the sofa with his legs crossed and eating an apple. When he saw them coming in, he waved happily to say hello. Manman, long time no see. Long time no see, you big-headed ghost. Tianyuman looked at Wang Tianyu with eager eyes. The grievance she suffered from Murong 11 suddenly exploded, and she rushed over quickly with her son in her arms. I get angry when I see you, and it's all your fault. You hid my daughter, and now Murong 11 won't give her back to me. If you her away, Ruru will be afraid of me, and I can't take my daughter home. All this is your fault. You did such bad things, and you still have the nerve to appear in front of me. Aren't you looking for a beating? Tianyuman picked up the feather duster on the side and swung it at Wang Tianyu. Unexpectedly, Tianyuman would use violence whenever he asked. He was too late to dodge and was hit with several blows on his body, making him scream. Manman, I was wrong, and I will make up for it. Just blame me for my sin in the first place. You are so kind, you will definitely forgive me. It's too late. When I confronted you and asked if Ruru was my daughter, you still lied to me. Now you appear in front of me and ask me to forgive you. Do you want face? Tianyuman threw little Mickey aside. He chased and beat Wang Tianyu with a feather duster. Little Mickey watched his mother chasing Wang Tianyu and obediently found a place on the sofa to eat grapes and watch the show. Mommy, come on. Having a son cheers her up. Tianyuman chases and fights with even more energy. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Dalby in the World. Chapter 1322. Chapter 1322 Secret Weapon 2. I know I'm wrong, I really know I'm wrong. I know you will definitely run into a wall when you come back to Tangyuj. I won't help you with suggestions. By the way, I brought you the secret weapon, little Mickey. With your son here, I guarantee that everything you do will go smoothly. Wang Tianyu explained his purpose while running away. You can get out of here if your son is given to you. If you continue to stay, I won't let you do anything extraordinary. As the saying goes, it is easy to change a person's nature, so how could he suddenly become a good person? She and Mr. Tang have reached this point because he designed it all by his own hands. If they are talking about making up for it now, who knows if they are trying to destroy it? It is impossible for her to trust Wang Tianyu anymore. Manman, I really admitted my mistake. Please stop chasing me and beating me. This thing hurts. Wang Tianyu was also helpless. He also admitted the sin he had done and could only beg for mercy one after another. Be gentle when beating. Qianyuman, who was panting after chasing him, angrily threw away the feather duster in his hand, picked up his son and left without looking back, throwing out a threatening word. You'd better not appear in front of me again, otherwise I'll beat you every time I see you. Forgiving him is a matter of God. She will never forgive Wang Tianyu for using her to take revenge on Mr. Tang. Qian Yuman carried her son back to her home and closed all the doors, fearing that Wang Tianyu would be malicious again and crawl in the middle of the night to misbehave with them and their son. After carrying his son back to the room, Mickey obediently let Qian Yuman hold him, staring at Qian Yuman with his big eyes from time to time. Being so tormented by little Mickey and Wang Tianyu, Qian Yuman temporarily forgot to be sad and did not continue to shed tears. Little Mickey, why are you with that bad guy Wang Tianyu? I tell you, you are not allowed to meet or talk to that bad guy uncle in the future. If you see him, just hide away. Do you understand? I know, I'll stay away from the bad uncle when I see him in the future. Little Mickey nodded heavily. Aren't you staying with Grandma? Why did you suddenly come back to China to find Mommy? Because I miss Mommy. And that bad uncle suddenly appeared and said he would take me to find Mommy. Little Mickey saw Qian Yuman's face turn pale and she became silent. Mommy, I know I was wrong. I shouldn't have left with a strange uncle. At that time, Wang Tianyu showed little Mickey a photo of them and told him his parents' names and other information, so he followed him stupidly, saying that he wanted to help Mommy and Daddy get back together. He followed him without thinking too much. If you are taken away by bad guys, what do you want Mommy to do? Fortunately, it was Wang Tianyu who really brought his son to her this time. Mommy, I know I was wrong, I won't dare to do it next time. Qian Yuman sighed deeply and held her son in her arms. She is really scared now. Something happened to her son. What should she do? My daughter has not been around since she was a child, but now she is the closest to Murong 11. She looks at her like a stranger. If my son also. Mommy, I heard that Daddy Biden won't meet you, is it true? Little Mickey asked Qian Yuman, clenching his fists angrily. Qian Yuman nodded. Your dad and I have a misunderstanding. He doesn't want to see me now. Little Mickey slapped his chest hard and said with a confident smile. With me as your secret weapon, what are you afraid of? If Daddy doesn't want Mommy, he won't want little Mickey. I'm just his son. Sleep. Your Majesty will update again tomorrow morning. Now it's time to go to bed. Good night. Don't stay up late, everyone. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 1323. Chapter 1323, Stalking Him 1. Little Mickey slapped his chest hard and said with a confident smile. With me as your secret weapon, what are you afraid of? If Daddy doesn't want Mommy, he won't want little Mickey. I'm just his son. Being reminded by little Mickey, Qian Yuman's eyes shined brightly. Yes. If Mr. Tang doesn't want to see her, he won't want to see little Mickey. After all, Little Mickey is also his only son, so he can't be cruel enough not to see little Mickey. Mommy, Mickey also knows about my sister. You will leave me to Aunt Murong from tomorrow on. No matter what, she will not deprive me of getting along with my sister. Then you will get along with my sister under the guise of looking after me. Baby son, you are indeed a genius child. Qian Yuman hugged her son and kissed her son the cheek. At this moment, she felt that the spring was bright in front of her eyes, and a beautiful tomorrow was waving to her. Murong 11 refuses her to take Ruru away, so she slowly impresses her with her sincerity, letting him see how good she is in Ruru, and then slowly makes Ruru fall in love with her biological mother. Then Ruru and Mr. Tang can be defeated one by her genius son. She can no longer sigh or cry. No amount of tears will change things. She should be positive and think of ways to make them accept her. In just half an hour, Qian Yuman became positive and began to plan how to abduct their father and son back to her. The next morning, Qian Yuman brought little Mickey and her luggage to the door of Murong 11's house, including her luggage. Xiao 11, good morning. Qian Yuman smiled brightly and waved her paw to greet Murong 11, who was still awake. Why are you here again? Murong 11's eyes fell on the mother and son, one big and one small, smiling coquettishly. Auntie, I want to get along with my sister. Can little Mickey live here? Little Mickey blinked his innocent eyes and acted coquettishly towards Murong 11. At this moment, he was in the state he should be at his age. And Qian Yuman kept praising her son in her heart for her 5-step acting ability. Qian Yuman was ready for Murong 11 to throw them out, and she was also ready to roll around shamelessly and force them to stay. Murong 11 squinted his eyes and focused on the obviously large suitcase. Your son can live here, but you can't. Huh? Why? I also have to take care of my son. I made an agreement with your brother last night to stay during this time. Throw it out. Murong 11 picked up the small suitcase, turned around and walked into the house coolly, and the men who were standing aside to protect Murong 11 took a step forward to block Qian Yuman's figure who was about to rush in. Qian Yuman was just thrown out of the door by Murong 11's men. Only little Mickey's luggage was left behind, and her son was also left inside. She was ready to stay and wallow, but she didn't expect Murong 11's tough tactics. He directly called the burly men and threw her out the door, unable to resist. Xiao 11, just let me live in. Xiao 11, he yelled at the top of his lungs, but no one had already entered. Her precious son also left his mother behind and followed Murong 11 in without even looking at his mother. Hey! Forget it. Let your son break into the enemy camp first, and I'll go guard the door of Mr. Tang's house. He glanced at him with nostalgia, and then left. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 1324. Chapter 1324, Stalking Him Too. Qian Yuman realized that she would not be able to wait for Tang Yuj at Dihao Group, so she decisively went to her home to find him today. She drove to their former home. They didn't live here for a long time, but it was a home that only belonged to the two of them. It is the villa in the corner of a group of purple villas located near her former teaching school. The villa is surrounded by lakes on 3 sides and is surrounded by maple trees. It is April now, and the leaves are still green. The maples are also blooming in spring, and they are floating in the air. Has a light fragrance. I haven't been here for more than 3 years, but this place is still so beautiful. I miss the days of boating on the lake and chatting with him. Although that period was short, she missed it very much and it was sweet in her heart. The car was parked aside, and I walked to the door unconsciously. I stopped at the door and looked around, but I didn't expect the door to open automatically. A familiar, slightly stiff voice came. Welcome Mrs. Tang home. Her little mouth opened slightly, and then she showed a bright smile of joy. She remembered that this place could only be entered by swiping your face. It had a good protection system. If someone wanted to force their way in, they would automatically connect to the nearby police and Tanyush's bodyguards. If there was any problem, someone would rush there within 2 minutes. Come to the rescue. If someone wanted to force their way in, they would be seriously injured by the surrounding infrared system before they could break in, so she was ready to wait for Tanyush at the door and did not dare to climb over the wall casually. Unexpectedly, as soon as she approached the door opened automatically. So after 3 years, she can still come in at will, and Mr. Tang has not cancelled her facial recognition system. With her eyes red, she quickly ran inside, and sure enough, she entered the villa smoothly. Ms. Tang, today weighs 51 kilograms and is 1.68 meters tall. Her complexion is not good, her nerves are tense, and she needs to supplement her sleep. Her mood swings are a bit high, and she needs a lyrical song to calm her mood. Subsequently, a soothing lyrical song sounded in the room, which eased Qian Yuman's excited mood very well. Unexpectedly, nothing has changed here, and the intelligence system is still so incredible. She can still communicate unimpeded, and in his heart she is still the mistress of this family. Qian Yuman's eyes were red, and she quickly walked around her home. The place had not changed at all, and all the furnishings were still the same as when she left. It seemed like it had stopped from the moment she left, and started moving again the moment she came back. She walked around the house and didn't see Tanyush. He was not at home. However, she heard from Murangye that since Tanyush and Tang's father broke up 3 years ago, he has been living here and has never returned to the Tang family. She came very early today, so that means he didn't come back at all last night and stayed outside. Hey, Qian Yuman sighed deeply, feeling very helpless. Qian Yuman started to get busy, going out to buy ingredients, filling the refrigerator, and preparing a sumptuous meal for him later. The aunt has always been cleaning the house, so she doesn't need to be busy anymore. After staying up all night last night, she came to the bed she hadn't slept in for a long time. She fell on the bed, smelled Mr. Tang's scent, listened to lyrical music, and slowly fell deep into her dream. When Qian Yuman woke up again, it was already dark, and she jumped out of bed quickly in fright. It's so late, Mr. Tang won't be back. I haven't prepared dinner yet, and he hasn't eaten the delicious food I cooked for a long time. Maybe when he gets home and sees me as a good wife and loving mother, he will soften his heart and forgive me. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 1325. Chapter 1325 Mr. Tang's Indifferent Attitude 1. All the sleepyheads disappeared, and she quickly ran out of bed. She did not turn on the light, so she did not see the sweeping robot running not far away. She stepped on the sweeping robot, unable to control the balance of her body, and fell to the ground. I love you so much. Qian Yuman lay on the ground depressedly. The fall caused pain all over her body, and the fall was not light. It hurt her so much that she didn't even want to get up. What to do? Can't get up? What a pain. But I still have to get up to prepare dinner for Mr. Tang. It's already dark. He didn't come back yesterday, and he will definitely come back to rest today. Qian Yuman got up from the ground with difficulty. Before she could stand up, a pair of feet wearing leather shoes appeared in front of her. The moment she saw her feet, her breath stopped. Who is it? He can't be a thief. It's not right. The security system here is very complete. It is impossible for strangers to come in. A thief wants to come in and steal something, but is discovered before he can enter. Therefore, the owner of the pair of leather shoes in front of him is Tanyuj. But why didn't Mr. Tang turn on the lights when he came back? Qian Yuman slowly raised her head, stood up slowly, and rushed over without hesitation, embracing the incoming man. Sugar baby, I miss you so much." The familiar touch and familiar taste were indeed Tanyuj. It was Tanyuj who was back. He overslept, but unfortunately he didn't behave like a good wife and mother. It felt so good to hold him again. I thought it would take a long time to see him, but I didn't expect it to be so soon. Qian Yuman was enjoying the long-lost warmth, but she didn't expect that she was pushed away with such force that she, who had just fallen in pain, fell again, but this time her buttocks fell to the ground. Qian Yuman never expected that she would be treated so rudely and was pushed to the ground. She looked up in disbelief. In the dim environment, she could not clearly see Tanyuj's facial features or his expression at the moment. "Sugar baby, why are you so rude?" Qian Yuman muttered with dissatisfaction. "Get out," Tanyuj said coldly. His voice was like the ice of hell, and she couldn't help but tremble. The tone of speaking was something she had never heard from Tanyuj before. It was obviously him who said it, but she had the illusion that she was talking to a stranger. Usually he clings to her shamelessly, doing whatever he can to achieve his goal and please her by acting coquettish and cute, but he has never spoken to himself in such a cold voice. "Mr. Tang, don't do this." Qian Yuman stood up from the ground and stepped the ground with her right foot. Pain came from her ankle. "Oops, I seem to have a cramp." "Ouch," Qian Yuman screamed, sat down on the ground, held her right foot in her hands and cried. "My foot seems to be sprained." "Whoa, come and feel sorry for her, come and pity her." If it were normal, when their relationship was sweet, Tanyuj would squat down nervously to check the situation, and then send her to the hospital for a comprehensive examination without fuss, fearing that she would have a disabled foot. However, Tanyuj remained unmoved. He did not squat down, and did not even say a word of concern. He stood there motionless. "I don't want to say it a second time." Qian Yuman looked at Tanyuj in disbelief. She was used to the dark night and slowly saw his outline clearly. She could see that his facial expression was calm at the moment and he didn't feel sorry for her. "Xiao Manman, I am so sad and sad." "Sugar baby, get out." End of this chapter. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 1326. Chapter 1326. Mr. Tang's indifferent attitude too. "Mr. Tang, it hurts so much, woo." Qian Yuman began to cry aggrievedly. She was so sad that even she couldn't tell whether she was really crying or pretending to cry. She was really crying. Very sad and sad. "You won't get out? I'll throw you out," Tanyuj said ruthlessly, then squatted down, picked up Qian Yuman, and walked quickly outside. "Ah! Mr. Tang, I don't want to leave, I don't want to leave, I want to be by your side, don't throw me out." Qian Yuman struggled desperately, but Tanyuj's footsteps were not slow, and he walked out of the villa not long after. Threw her out. It was really thrown. Her body was in a parabolic state, and she was thrown to the ground. Her landed on the ground again. This time the fall was more painful than the last fall, and she almost burst into tears. Her poor little ass. This wasn't the biggest blow. After Tanyuj threw her out, he decisively closed the door to isolate her from the outside. He also locked the door when he entered the house. She couldn't get in even if she didn't save her face. The moment Qian Yuman saw Tanyuj's expression, all her words of protest were choked in her throat, and she did not spit out any more words. In the darkness just now, I didn't see Tanyuj's expression clearly, and I didn't know what his actual mood was like. But when I caught the streetlight and saw his expression, all the words I wanted to say were choked in my throat and I couldn't spit them out. I begged for mercy and said something nice. I was too shocked to speak any words. She expected Tanyush's expression to be a stinky one, but she didn't expect it to be an expression of indifference, and the look in his eyes that looked at her didn't contain any emotion. What shocked her was that his eyes were bloodshot and red, and his complexion was not right. He looked healthy, but his skin was actually a little too pale. The situation looked very bad. They hadn't seen him for less than a week, but she could see that he had lost weight, obviously a lot. How did he spend this period of time? She was too shocked that he had changed so much in a short period of time. She was ready to act coquettishly and say nice things, but she was completely frightened by his state. At that moment, she was not in the mood to explain, nor was she in the mood to hug him and act recklessly. At that moment, her heart was grabbed and twisted hard. How so? The good mentality was completely defeated the moment he saw Tanyush. Why is she so bad? Why were you angry with him in the first place? Why did you hurt him so much in the face of his explanation? The painful blow she gave him back then seemed to be heavier and more painful than he imagined, otherwise he wouldn't have become like that within a reasonable time. Those bloodshot eyes must have been the result of working overtime for more than 3 consecutive days without sleep. His body lost weight quickly. He must have lost weight because he didn't eat well. Responsible, regretful sweeping. The sadness, pain, and heartache for Tanyush made her squat at the door of her home and cry bitterly. This is not a disguise, nor is it to make Tanyush feel soft, it is completely her mood at this moment, and the tears flow out. Jian-Yuman, you are not a human being, you bastard, you deserve Mr. Tang for ignoring you, you deserve Sugar Baby for just throwing you out. Jian-Yuman stretched out her hand, lowered her chest constantly, and cursed herself for being such a bastard. Mr. Tang, I'm sorry for the hurt I caused you. I really know I was wrong. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 1327. Chapter 1327 Mr. Tang's Indifferent Attitude 3. Can you still forgive me? If it were her, if she thought about it from her perspective, she would definitely not forgive those who have caused her harm time and time again. Even if she is not willing to forgive herself, why should Mr. Tang forgive himself unconditionally when she acts coquettishly and cutely? However, she will give up easily. Just like when Mr. Tang met with many obstacles in order to reunite with each other, he went to great lengths to appear by his side. He could do it back then, why couldn't she? Come on. Jian-Yuman. The whole process of Jian-Yuman's departure was witnessed by Tanyush on the 3rd floor. His eyes kept watching her leave the site and disappear into the vast sea of maple trees. After leaving, Tanyush still stood in front of the window for a long time. Did not leave. He. Early the next morning, Jian-Yuman came to Tanyush's downstairs again. The facial recognition system was still working and the door was still locked. She could only come out from the inside but not from the outside. It's already 8 o'clock. Is he still sleeping? Jian-Yuman moved out a deck chair and lay leisurely under the big tree not far from the door. She also moved out a small table and placed the prepared fruits on it. She lay down on the deck chair leisurely and waited for Tanyush to come out. People who didn't know better thought she was here for vacation, not to keep someone safe. She knew that getting Tanyush to forgive her would definitely not happen in a day or two, and she was prepared to fight for a long time. Lying under the big tree, hanging majestically, his eyes were always fixed on the door. The time accidentally reached 9 o'clock. Looking at the time, Tanyush had not gone out yet. Naturally, she would not sit still and wait for death. She had no other preparations. A certain woman took out a loudspeaker again and turned on the switch. Collect old computers, old mobile phones, old refrigerators, the slogan suddenly sounded from the loudspeaker, which made Jian-Yuman feel ashamed and immediately switched the mode to the communication function. I tried it, and if I could make a sound, I shouted loudly to the villa. Mr. Tangyuj, my favorite sugar baby, Mr. Tang, get up. Don't sleep anymore, the sun is shining on your butt. Come out and see your cutest beauty. Get up. Get up, Qian Yuman said for a while, shouting, repeating it over and over again, chanting incessantly, waking up Tangyuj, who was still sleeping. Tangyuj was sleeping when a strange shout suddenly appeared in his dream. Then he sat up in horror, looked around, and heard Qian Yuman's shout outside. What is she doing outside? Tangyuj got up impatiently, opened the curtains and saw a woman lying comfortably on a recliner, holding a speaker and making noise. Get up, ah! Good morning, Mr. Tang. Seeing Tangyuj wake up, Qian Yuman happily waved her little paws to say hello, still lying on the recliner, and stuffed a strawberry in her mouth. Morning, sister. Tangyuj turned around and went back to the room with a stinky face, closed the window, drew the curtains, and kept out of sight. Qian Yuman watched Tangyuj run away without giving up. She had already expected that he might do this, so she didn't even bother to get up when she stood up. She knew she would have to lie down later. But that doesn't mean she shouldn't give up just like that and still keep talking on the loudspeaker. Mr. Tang, come out quickly, you have the ability to hide in there all the time. Come out and meet me, the beautiful little lady. We can meet and chat for a while, you will never suffer any loss. Come out quickly. My lovely sugar baby, Mr. Tang. Good night. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 1328. Chapter 1328, Fancy Reverse Chase 1. Mr. Tang, come out quickly, you have the ability to hide in there all the time. Come out and meet me, the beautiful little lady. We can meet and chat for a while, you will never suffer any loss. Come out quickly. My lovely sugar baby, Mr. Tang. Qian Yuman lay on the recliner unremittingly and muttered for an hour. Fortunately, she was well prepared and brought a drink to soothe her throat, which could last for a while. Thanks to the fact that Tangyuj's neighbors were far away, her horn would not disturb the neighbors. It would have been terrible to lure the neighbors in first without luring Tangyuj out. Qian Yuman got tired from studying all year round, so she lay on the recliner and played with her mobile phone, taking a break. At lunchtime, she actually moved out the induction cooker and some kitchen utensils, set up a temporary kitchen at Tangyuj's door, and happily cooked dinner. The loudspeaker also switched to shouting repeatedly, "Delicious lunch, free lunch, free lunch. Don't miss this opportunity again, come out and enjoy a delicious lunch. Mr. Tang." Qian Yuman was humming a song while making lunch. She was well prepared and soon prepared 2 dishes and 1 soup. The fragrance is overflowing. Even if the sound insulation effect of the house is good and no outside noise can be heard, the smell cannot escape. It floats into the house along the gaps, making a man who listens to music with headphones unable to control his stomach. Greedy, cooing. Tangyuj couldn't help but swallowed his saliva, and stroking his stomach where he hadn't eaten breakfast or lunch, Tangyuj sat up with a sullen face. There was no other house within a radius of 200 meters, except for the woman downstairs. He couldn't figure out where the smell came from. He walked to the window and saw a woman using the door of her house as a kitchen, humming songs, cooking vegetables, and occasionally swaying her feet, shaking her head, and waving the rice spoon in her hand. At this moment, 3 black lines appeared on the back of Tangyuj's head, and the corners of his mouth twitched slightly, amused by Qian Yuman's funny behavior. The fragrance in the air wafted over from such an interesting scene, seducing the gluttons in his stomach, and his taste buds still retained the memory of her delicious food. It's too foul. Qian Yuman saw Tangyuj on the windowsill with her sharp eyes, waving her paws, picking up the horn and calling out. Mr. Tang, are you hungry? Do you want to come down and eat together? I've prepared stir-fried pork, fish head with chopped pepper and seaweed egg soup. It's delicious. This woman. I couldn't help but swallow my saliva, and the greed in my stomach became even louder. Humph, Tanguy snorted, turned back to the room, found a gas mask and put it on so that he could no longer smell the smell. Qian Yuman shook his head and sighed while eating the delicious food he made. I can't bear to take a bite of this. If I don't want to eat it, I won't eat it. Anyway, I won't suffer any loss. It's really delicious. Qian Yuman sent a photo of the dish she just cooked to Murong Ye. Qian Yuman, send the picture to Mr. Tang, thank you. Murong Ye, no problem, eldest sister. He is a bitch, someone who pleases his future wife and sister, so he obediently sends the photo to Tanguy. Qian Yuman's mobile phone was blocked by Tanguy, and her WeChat account was also blocked. She was unable to send the photos to Tanguy and could only use Murong Ye's handwriting. Tanguy's cell phone rang, and he casually opened the WeChat message sent by Murong Ye. It was just a photo of Qian Yuman and the delicious food she cooked, but it was just across the screen that almost made her saliva flow. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 1329. Chapter 1329, Fancy Reverse Chase 2. Tanguy, who had finally calmed down, started to scream again and swallowed 2 or 3 times in a row. Tanguy stared at the photo, edited a text message and sent it to Murong Ye. Tanguy, if you return to work in China within 3 days, if you arrive 1 day late, you will be dead. Murong Ye, who was far away in Paris, received a text message from Tanguy. He was in a mess and yelled into the night. Why? Whoa, he doesn't want to go back, and he still wants to stick to Lili. But if he really doesn't go back, given Tanguy's personality, he may be given a lot of work, and he may even hide in the mountains for a year or 2. If he gets ruthless, he may abduct his sister out to play, and let her he works alone. As the president of the group, he was tricked by Tanguy for a while, and it worked every time. It seems that the only way to start is from Lili's side and leave early. Looking at Tang Faishan every day makes her sick. A certain man just silently made plans on how to bring Qilil back home. Tanguy remained as still as a mountain, staying in his room and never leaving. If Qian Yuman didn't leave, he would rest at home. Qian Yuman waited outside until she could see through the autumn water. Even after dinner, Tanguy still didn't go out. It was still a bit cold at night, but luckily she prepared a blanket, put it on her body, and chanted through the speaker for a long time. It's so cruel we've come this far and yet we're not moved. Qian Yuman felt very frustrated. She really wanted to go in and talk to him, but he didn't even give her the chance. Qian Yuman was lying on the recliner, almost asleep. When she was drowsy, a car drove up and stopped at the door. The people in the car got out of the car and came to Qian Yuman's side. Their cold eyes stared at Qian Yuman's sleeping face. Sister-in-law, sister-in-law, Tang Xingai called several times and finally woke up the sleeping beauty. Qian Yuman rubbed her eyes, sat up slowly, and looked up at Tang Xingai. Xingai, why are you here? Qian Yuman chirped, as if he hadn't woken up yet, in a trance. You won't catch a cold if you sleep here. Tang Xingai worriedly reached out and touched her forehead to make sure she didn't have a fever. No. I'm in good health. Qian Manlu smiled crazily, rubbed his eyes, stood up, and moved his limbs. Don't forget that sleeping here is not comfortable at all. Qian Yuman looked at the time on her watch. It was already 8:30 in the evening. She had been guarding here for 13 hours without knowing it. She turned to look at the villa, but there was no light on. Oops, Mr. Tang won't go out. She was half asleep just now, he wouldn't take advantage of this opportunity to run out. Qian Yuman anxiously started to pack up and was about to rush to the Dihao group to find someone, but Tang Xingai pulled her back. "Sister-in-law, don't panic, my eldest brother didn't go out, he's still in the house." "In the house? Why don't you turn on the light?" Yesterday when she woke up, he also entered the house in the dark. Tang Xingai was silent for a few seconds, wondering whether to tell Qian Yuman. "In the past few years, my eldest brother rarely turns on the lights at home, and likes to smear things at night. It finally improved a little bit some time ago, but since I quarreled with you, it has become like this again." Qian Yuman frowned, and her heart throbbed. Tang Xingai's simple words had already revealed a lot of information. He has been like this these past few years. Is it because he doesn't want to turn on the light, because he doesn't want to face an empty home? End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 1330. Chapter 1330, Fancy Reverse Chase 3. A lonely figure in the darkness, he is like a wandering soul, wandering around the house and falling in love with the dark night. The more he understood about his life in the past few years by his side, the more he felt that he was not a human being and had actually avoided him for so many years. At first, I didn't believe what he said, and I didn't sit down and have a good conversation, let alone investigate the matter on my own, and blindly evading, how much pain did it bring to him. At that time, if she had been braver and believed in him more, he would not be like this now. Mr. Tang, does he have a mental illness? Will it be like those with mental illness, who either go crazy or suffer from depression? Mental illness is an invisible killer and very scary. Think about it, how could a normal person like to hang out in a big house at night without turning on the lights? The image of Tang Yuj I saw yesterday flashed through my mind, with his cold expression and bloodshot eyes. Tang Xingai watched Qian Yuman's expression becoming more and more painful, with self-blame, worry and other emotions written on his face. There was a touch of warmth on the cold expression, and he comforted Qian Yuman in a twisted way. "Sister-in-law, you don't have to worry, my eldest brother is a doctor of psychology and has already adjusted himself. You don't have to worry about his depression." Really? Qian Yuman started crying. She was really about to cry. Really, in the first year, the eldest brother lived a decadent life. If it weren't for Sister Xiao 11 who was always with him, well, don't worry about it. There was nothing but friendship between the eldest brother and Sister Xiao 11. At that time, there was Brother Ji and the others will help together. Tang Xingai was afraid that Qian Yuman would misunderstand, so he explained somewhat depressedly. The result was that the more he explained, the worse he got, and Qian Yuman's expression became more and more painful. I know Qian Yuman did not misunderstand him, and she would not misunderstand him again this time. She believed that there really was no relationship between Tang Yuj and Murong 11, but pure friendship. It was Murong 11's business that she liked him. She also wanted to thank her for taking care of Tang Yuj in the past few years. She was grateful instead of jealous. "Huh, that's fine, there's no misunderstanding." Tang Xingai breathed a sigh of relief. Qian Yuman raised her head, looked at Tang Xingai's expressionless face, and dragged her chin depressedly. "Xingai, we haven't seen each other for more than 3 years. You have matured a lot after not seeing each other for more than 3 years, and your personality seems to have changed. Don't tell me that this is the price of growth. Did something happen to you? I didn't have time to care before, now I have a lot of time to wait at the door for Tang Yuj, so I want to pay attention to this beloved brother." Tang Xingai's expression was as cold as ever. He was somewhat similar to Tang Yuj, who was angry now. "What happened to these two brothers?" "It's nothing, I just experienced something." "What's the matter?" Qian Yuman asked. Tang Xingai was silent, obviously not wanting to talk more. Qian Yuman continued to ask questions without asking for a reason, and finally gave up. Are you coming to see Mr. Tang late at night? Send a document to my elder brother. I forgot to tell you that I am currently studying and working at the Emgrand Group. Tang Xingai shook the document in his hand. Are you in Emgrand? Aren't you supposed to be in Tang Chao Group? Why do you come to work in your eldest brother's company? Tang Chao Group is a family business of the Tang family. Even if you work and go to school at the same time, you should still go to Tang Chao Group for an internship. How could this happen? What about running to seek refuge with Tang Yuj? Good night. Tomorrow, it will be updated in the morning. If you find that there is no update in the morning, His Majesty must have overslept again. End of this chapter.